Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Tribe Podcast. Today's episode, we're going to talk about all those 3D struggles you might have and how it can lead to spiritual advancement, expansion, and progress. The idea about this episode was mostly because everyone has something going on at some point in your life. I would say at most of the points of your life. When is everything just a flat line, like normal and easy, right? Very rarely. So the idea with this episode is to kind of discuss our own take on that, and obviously give that spiritual aspect the spin in to see what it is that we need to understand and see when we're going through those situations. Speaking of that, like October for me has been like heavy.
Yeah, October's been heavy.
Oh,
definitely very heavy.
My tarot cards were actually already warning me about October. I'm like, what are the tarot cards on about here?
I don't know. I saw some astrological kind of alignments and stuff for November, December, and January. I don't think it's getting easier for the end of the year either.
No.
I really don't. I think it's going to get, for certain areas and people, it's going to get a little harder, a little crazier.
Astrologically speaking, because you've been studying it, are the planets and all that stuff for this month?
We still have Pluto, right? Pluto is a huge planet of transformation. You know, Pluto, the alignments that are going on right now that we talked about with Patricia a while back, right? When all this when the crap hit the fan, right? We were all talking about Pluto, and Pluto is a really interesting energy. It is of transformation, and it comes with sometimes very violent energy, right? It's very abrupt. It's very like at all costs we transform. And that's basically what's happening now. But I think a lot of us are losing that. We're just trying to get back to normal, like we were saying in the previous episodes, right? We're trying to bypass what's going on, and we're not realizing that there needs to be some kind of change or transformation through all this difficulty that we're going through. It can't be in vain. Something needs to come out of all this, because otherwise, why is this happening? You know? So, yeah, Pluto is going to be around for a while. So this is where also, I don't remember the exact alignments, but there were some things happening in the next few months that will probably test us. They'll probably continue to test us and continue to push us to change and to grow. You know, it's all very different energies than we've been living for the last few years. So
thanks, 2021. I haven't felt like I've been tested at all this year.
It feels uncomfortable, right? Like
it's very uncomfortable.
We're putting in this very uncomfortable energy. We're having to see ourselves, how we're living, what we're doing, how we feel. It's bringing up so much stuff that it's pretty impossible for us not to have to deal with it. So this is a kind of like what you were talking about, the 3D struggles, right? And the spiritual growth. It can be now, or it could have been years ago. We all go through struggles, and these struggles can come through also relationships and people that can be teachers for us. And usually these relationships can be really hard, right? Kind of like what's happening now with the pandemic. It's very hard, but it's teaching us something. So ultimately it will lead to our spiritual growth, to us learning those lessons and expanding and advancing, like you were saying.
It's like, I feel like I've gotten pretty good at letting go of stuff. Like, no, I'm not going to accept this. Okay, all right, goodbye.
Yeah.
All right, I guess it's not going to happen my way. All right, goodbye. Like I'm feeling like I'm trying to help my psyche out with I mean, this is a wide range of scenarios that really I'm thinking about, but it's like I'm trying to help my psyche out. Every time something happens, I'm like, okay, I'm still a warrior, and I'm going to still kind of fight this one thing or that thing over there, but I'm also trying to really work on me accepting things, because it's going to be bad for me at the end of the day if I don't accept a scenario that's playing out. For example, my personal life, like if I don't accept it, then it's just going to, who's it going to bother? It's going to bother me.
Yep. That's a really good point. I think a lot of us, we try to ignore stuff, right? Maybe subconsciously too. We don't want to see aspects of ourselves or things that we need to deal with. And that ends up becoming like this thorn in our side, right? That we're just like, oh, I don't know what's bothering me. There's something there. I feel weird. I don't feel like myself. And it's like, because you need to go in and figure that out. You need to feel it. You need to acknowledge it. But I also think there's like a part of all of this that, like you were saying, there's a lot of saying goodbye to things, letting things go, putting up your boundaries and not letting people encroach in your space or penetrate your energy, because it's not worth your freaking time, first of all. But it's a little bit of being a little selfish right now too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been, I'm ready to say goodbye to October though. Goodbye. I'll see you later.
Well, yesterday was a full moon. So that energy was pretty strong too.
Oh, wow.
So,
I had a really good meditation yesterday, so that might be why.
Yeah.
I was doing it for my mental health. I was like, oh, I just really need to meditate, and like I need to clear out of a bunch of junk. My mind, I needed to clear my mind, and I really needed assistance with it. So I was like, okay, I went into the meditation like I usually do, where I don't have a time frame. Like I don't put a timer. I just kind of go in knowing what I need. And then from there, I usually kind of guide myself and go, oh, now I'm going to connect with this energy. Sometimes I'll connect with one of the archangels that I work with. I kind of don't really plan it. I just go with it. It ended up being a whole hour.
Wow.
Because when I finished, I was like, hey, I think I'm done. And I kind of came out of it. And then I looked at the time. I'm like, whoa, that was a whole hour. That's amazing. That went fast. Yeah.
Yeah, meditations can help
that helped
so
me.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had the weirdest dreams last night.
I've had some weird dreams this week too. And I haven't slept very well either. I've had some, like waking up at 5 a.m. I'm like, oh, I can't go back to sleep. Might as well just get up.
Oh, I've heard other people say that this week, actually.
It's very strange.
I haven't had that. For me, it's been a week where, like, I'll wake up and my pillow has drool all over it. I'm like, wow, I slept really well. I'm like, ouch. I'm like, like your mouth open, like you're passed out like that.
Yeah.
I've been passing out, which I'm happy with. It's good to kind of check out and, like, totally rest your body and stuff.
Sleep is so important. I know I don't prioritize that enough. At least quality sleep, like really resting. That can transform your entire immune system and your day.
Yeah. So my meditation ended in me going, okay, life could be much worse. And so I started finding all those things that I was thankful for. And I was like, thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for that. And I was like, actually, like I'm actually really lucky. There's so many things I'm really, I'm really lucky about. So I think it's a really important part. Like, let's say, I don't know. I mean, back when I was going through, that's the best example because I've talked about it more than once. When I was going through my divorce and I was like freaking broken, like I was broken. I remember when I decided to no longer be a victim, because that's the key. Like, yeah. It doesn't mean you don't fight, or it doesn't mean you don't put up your boundaries, like you said, or it doesn't mean you don't put your foot down. It just means you're going to stand up for yourself, but you're going to try to keep yourself away from that victim role, which is really hard to find. I've noticed that, like, it's really hard to find a midpoint between fighting back, but not fighting too much, because if you're fighting too much, you're a victim. Mm-hmm. But fighting a little bit and then letting go of it, and then maybe revisiting it if you have to push the boundary again. And then it's really hard to find that midpoint.
Yeah, so I think as long as your ego doesn't get involved and you just kind of listen to your intuition with what feels right to do or say, I think in that case, then you're on the right path. Just many of us don't trust that. And we just use our head and our ego, and we're angry or we're frustrated, and we let that kind of lead the way, and that's not going to get you anywhere productive.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that looking around and saying, okay, what is going good in my life, or what can I give appreciation for and be grateful
Gratitude,
for.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really important to help you stay out of that victim role, because you're not just saying to the universe, I'm going to fight, give me more problems, I'm ready to fight, right? You have to remember that you're always speaking to the universe. And when I'm going through difficult times in my life, I go, okay, Lucia, okay, remember that the universe is hearing that you're seeing complications, and it's like, oh, she likes complications. She's paying attention to complications. Here are a little bit more complications for you, right? Yeah. So I've become smart about it. I'm like, okay, I actively start going, okay, I spotted a problem. I know I have to deal with it. I can't run away from it, right? Because we're not saying run away. I have to deal with it, but I also can't make it consume me. It can't consume my whole day. It can't consume my mind thought process all day. I need to let it go and be like, okay, I'll visit that. Maybe it takes me an hour to go and deal with whatever that is, or talk to somebody, or whatever I have to do. And then I'm going to walk away from it for 3 hours. And then I have to go revisit it. I don't know, maybe you're dealing with some legal issues and you're with lawyers. Maybe you email and then you take 3 hours away from that. And then you go revisit, check, see if you have to give any updates. I don't know, whatever it is, right? But
yeah,
just make sure you're stepping out.
Yeah, you definitely need to detach from it at moments. Otherwise, it will consume you. Definitely, and a lot of people in our community, I think, are going through a lot. Emotionally, changes. There's a lot going on. So, be kind to yourself through that too. Like you said, give yourself those breaks. And don't fall into that victim role, because I think falling into that victim role, like you were mentioning before, won't allow you to resolve it or learn from it. You're going to just get stuck in it. You're going to be in it.
Yeah. It's really hard, because the victim role, I think, is what most individuals will fall into right away as soon as something, oh, why is this happening to me? Why me? Or, whatever. I think that the way I've managed, because I think everybody's gonna be different, but I can share what I've managed to figure out in the last few months. The first thing I do is go, okay, this is happening to me. Okay, I really wish it weren't happening to me. Yeah, I do feel that. Yeah. Okay, how am I gonna deal with this? I want to be respected, or I want to put my foot down, or I want to put my boundary. But at the same time, why is this here? Is it here to teach me something? What am I supposed to get from this? Right? Sometimes it's just something so simple. Sometimes it's a big lesson, right? Of course. But sometimes it's something so simple like, hey, be present. Oh, hey, remember to be grateful for having these people around you that you've been ignoring or not spending time with or not giving attention to because you're too busy, I don't know, for example, on your phone or at work or whatever it is, right? Yeah. So sometimes it's things like that. Just look around you, observe, how have you been for the last week, month, year? What have you been prioritizing in your life? Is this that came into your life? Is this lesson or this, I don't know, maybe it's not even a lesson. Maybe you can consider it a block. Maybe this block is here to wake you up and steer you back towards something that is going to help you have a better life.
Or for you to start believing in yourself, or there's just so many things that...
Spiritual growth, or to be more aligned, or to be more happy, or...
I mean, the bottom line is that any struggle, we have to understand that any struggle that comes into our life, either through a situation, especially people, there's something to that. There's something that maybe that person's teaching us. And a lot of times what I see through Akashic record readings is the soul contracts between the two people, right? It's, why do I have these issues with this person, like my uncle, for example, right? Or my mom or my dad. And it's, well, there's a soul contract that I can see here. And it's basically showing that this person is trying to help you with this thing. So you have to start looking, like you were saying, it's taking a step back and saying, okay, what is this here for? What is it trying to teach me? What do I need to get out of this? I know it's freaking hard. It's making me really frustrated. I feel like I'm a victim. But what ultimately, what's the lesson here? What do I need to see? What do I need to see within myself? A lot of people are there to reflect. They're like a mirror reflecting back to you to see things within yourself. It's not so much about them, it's about you and how you're dealing with things, or it could have nothing to do with them, but they trigger you, right? So I think a big part of all these struggles that we're going through, we have to pinpoint the people, the situations, and take a step back and really look at it and know that ultimately whatever we learn through that, and it could be a process, right? It could be a journey. A lot of these things might not be easy, and it might take you months or years to get through, because it's such a huge lesson for you that you can't just get over it. You can't just like think about it and forget about it. It's something that you need to heal through time and through your own process. That ultimately, when we go towards the end of that, it's, wow, I've come out a better person. Oh my God, I learned this huge lesson through this such a hard thing I went through. And it's at moments even maybe you doubted that you could get through it, or that you could even believe in yourself to get through it. And it's like, wow, like, and then go to the next lesson, right? So it's going to, this journey that we're on, this incarnation is a journey. Like they show it to me so clearly that way through the Akashic Records. It's so humbling if we think about it within our incarnation, that we're here to learn lessons. And our ego and our human brain gets so in the way of, these problems are so annoying, I don't want to deal with them. And we just shut our emotions down or look the other way, or we don't meditate. We don't like go inward to connect with these emotions and these relationships and realize that they're definitely happening for a reason. It's not just a coincidence. And our soul needs to learn something through that.
There are times when I look back and I go, oh my God, how did I survive that?
Yeah.
Holy moly. Like, how did I make it? Crazy. I mean, what comes off the top of my head, and I don't know if you know this detail, but I mean, I'm going back. If I were to think about the moment where I felt the most devastated and the most like, I'm not going to make it. What am I going to, like, not going to make it in the sense like emotionally, I can't handle this. Oh my God, this is too much. I remember being in a therapist session with my now ex-husband. I was 8 months pregnant, and I had no idea that this was going to happen. I had no idea. We were there to make the relationship better before the baby was born. And that's when he said to me in the therapy session that he didn't want to be with me.
Wow.
And I was carrying our child, 8 months pregnant. Like, you're 8 months pregnant. Like, maybe I was 7, but I think it was 8. I remember being big, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this person's saying this to me right now. And it just caught me off guard. And I remember being, shit, I'm broken. I'm breaking down right now. Like, I remember the therapist, I think he was also caught off guard. I think he saw it coming. Yeah. Because he was doing sessions with us individually and then us together. So I think he saw it coming, but I don't think he thought it was going to happen, where it was like, boom, like it came out, and then I'm sitting there. And I'm trying not to, like, I wanted to pick up the couch and just, like, throw it.
Oh my gosh.
Like, which, yeah, like, I remember, like, that era when all that stuff was happening in the relationship in our lives.
There was a lot going on, yeah.
There was a lot of throwing from my side.
a lot of anger, yeah.
I was, like, so enraged with everything that was happening to me. I didn't know how to deal with it. I remember there were times where I would just, like, go, and I would scream. And I was like, what? I don't know how I'm going to handle this. Oh my God, okay, this is too much emotions. And I remember throwing chairs, and
wow.
The Hispanic in me would come out, right? But like, I had to get it out. I couldn't handle it. Like, it was so hard for me. So today I think back and I think, well, now I'm better at letting go when I hear someone say something like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore, or I'm done with this, or I'm really good now at going, like, letting it go faster and not being so emotional about it. Again, that scenario is different because I was literally about to have a baby. So yeah. It was even worse. But I feel like I learned there, I just learned not everything's written in stone. Like, just because we were married and we owned a house and we're having a baby, like, I learned that not everything's set in stone. Yeah. And then I also learned, like, wow, you just got to really be really secure with yourself, so that if that were to happen to you, because it was my insecurity also that was getting me so,
of course,
blah, right? If I was so secure with myself, I don't think I would have reacted that way. But yeah, there's just so many things that you learn about yourself. I'm like, yeah, I I remember thinking to myself, I need to get to a point that one day if someone comes to me abruptly, no matter what the scenario I'm in, they go, we're done. I need to go, okay, all right, fine.
You're going to be
I'll
upset,
cry about it. Yeah.
but you're not going to let it kind of shatter your world that way.
But I still wonder how I survived it though.
I mean, that goes to show, right? Like, he was probably one of your greatest teachers.
Yeah, I've said it in the podcast episode before.
Yeah.
Even, doesn't mean that I would go back to that person. Doesn't mean that, anything. And it just, I recognize that that's probably one of my big soul team members that was like, I'll be the bad guy in the movie, and I'll do this to you so you can learn this. And also totally. We probably have a bunch of pending issues that, I've discussed this before in readings that I've had done for me by other readers, and it does come out that we have pending stuff that are from other lifetimes, and that's a normal thing. But it's the majority of it. You don't have to go look back and just go, oh, they're just teaching me back something. It's like, yeah, no, your soul signed up for it somehow. There's there's a reason it came into play for you to learn something from that
through decisions, right, that you made or choices you made.
Yeah,
that's interesting. But that's a clear example of a person, right? Another soul that at a soul level, the two of you decided to help each other somehow, right? I'm going to help you by playing this role and by doing these things to help you learn this huge lesson about yourself or about whatever. So ultimately he was a huge teacher, and we all have people like that in our lives. We all have teachers, and usually it's those relationships that are hard, right? It's those relationships that sometimes we feel like we quote unquote hate the person, or they make our life impossible, or they hurt us.
It's funny because if you ask me, anybody that knows me ask me like, what do you think about him? I always say, I think he's a really good person. I think he's a really nice person. We were just both in a place where, and I know that he has his own personal struggles, and I was going through whatever I was going through, and it just collided and turned into what it turned into, exactly. Plus the lessons that we probably signed up for. But I consider him a really good person. Until this day, I mean, if I ever need something, I know that I can call him and be like, hey, can you help me with this? Help me out with this. I need assistance. And we're friends now. It's all good. It's, I don't hate really him at all or anything. Yeah.
But so you really worked through that. You had to do your own work. And I had really to detach. Yeah. I had to detach. I had to separate myself. I had to not talk for a while to the person. I had to be like, I'm taking my space. Like, I'm going over here. Do not bother me. And I basically asked that. And not ignore those emotions and realize like, wow, and see the bigger picture. Like, why is this happening? Like we were saying at the beginning, like ask yourself, why is this situation or this repetitive situation that keeps happening, or why is this happening to me right now? Might not make sense at the moment, but if we can really go inward and not go from that role of victim and realize what's the big lesson? Like, it's happening because I need to learn something. What is that? It could take some time to figure that out, but I think ultimately you realize that you had to take certain steps in order to learn those lessons after what happened. But like I was saying, it's usually these really difficult relationships. I can think of bosses that I've had, or, friendships that I had, or just people that came in my path that I thought were like horrible people, and I'm just like, wow. I'm like, actually they really taught me something really huge, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy when we can, this doesn't condone any bullying. This doesn't condone bad behavior. You still need to stand up for yourself, and that might be part of what you need to learn. But it's finding yourself in that situation and knowing what you need to do for yourself. Ultimately, you have to think about yourself and what's going on. But being able to, in hindsight, say, wow, look at this huge lesson I learned here. When I was in it, it was really hard. It was really difficult. I couldn't see it. But now, wow, holy moly, like this is huge. And I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't gone through that and met that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. While you were talking, I was thinking about, let's put aside like the soul lesson or your soul signed up for it, or any past life thing that's repeating or being taught back and forth. Let's put that aside and say, I've found that most of the time when someone did something that hurt you or affected you in a negative way, I found that once I'm able to surpass that and I am able to look at the person not from an ego place of anger or whatever or hurt, I'm able to look at the person and go, wow, they're just really broken.
Yep.
They just have a bunch of their own issues going on, and I was a vent system for them, or I was right in the middle of it, or I was blocking them from seeing it themselves, and I was, whatever it is. It's like I've noticed that behind a lot of those things are actually someone that's maybe the same as you or even more broken.
Yeah, usually they're more broken. And they've got their own issues going on. I can say that. Yeah, for
Definitely.
sure. Definitely.
So at the end of the day, you go, you know what? I feel bad for that person.
Yeah, I was going to just
wow.
say that. Like, it's not having pity for that person. Pity's such a low vibrational energy,
pity's
right?
bad.
Pity's like this, I don't know. It's like detaching from that. It's like, cool, you go live your life and do whatever the heck you want to do. And I'm over here, I'm doing my thing. I'm not allowing you to affect me the way that you want to affect me or to treat me the way you're treating me or whatever it is. I learned what I had to learn. You go your way, I go my way, right? It's all good. I understand your perspective, but I'm not playing into that role, or I'm not going to feed more into this dynamic that we have because I've already learned my lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
that leads me to another
the
thing.
the only way you can get to that though is to be so centered and balanced within yourself and really connect and take a step back and be like, okay, what's going on here? If we're in these emotions and we're like, I don't know, and like frustrated and angry and all these things are happening, right? We can never see that person that way. We can never look at the situation that way. It's always going to be, why is this happening to me? I hate it. This person's really pissing me off, right? It's all low vibrational. It's not from this place of balance and trying to understand it,
You fall into the victim role.
The victim role, exactly. Yeah.
It's exactly what you don't want. Exactly what you don't want. Yeah. And that reminds me also of when you see someone that's always, let's say you see someone that's always seems unlucky or is always going through bad times, or maybe they're always in victim role, or maybe they have, a lot going on and you feel bad about it. If you really if that person's your friend or your family member, someone you love, be careful, because you don't have to talk to them. Just by thinking about them and feeling that, oh my God, I feel so bad, or pity for them, or that, you're sending that to them as well.
Yeah.
And they're receiving that energy. So when you catch yourself thinking about the person, try to help them out. And the best way you can do that is think about them in a different way. Be like, you know what? They're just going through a really big lesson, and I'm going to send them light and love, and I'm going to send them all the positive vibes that I can. And I know, I know they're going to get through it. And then, it's going to be on their timeline. It's going to be when they're ready, but I send them. So just because it's basically impossible for a lot of people not to catch themselves and think, oh, I feel really bad. Oh, poor dude.
I mean, we all do that.
Right? So you have to catch yourself and then go, no. I want them to get better. I want the best for them. I'm going to send them.
You hold space for them, You hold space for them. You allow them to just show up how they need to, but you don't have pity. You support them. That's like kind of what you would do in a session with somebody. Like if you were to open somebody's records, we never feel that pity for that person. You can feel some sort of sadness for them, because I have felt that when I'm with somebody, if something really tragic has happened or traumatic. But when I say the masters and guides, they don't see the victim role. They don't see that. No. They don't see all of those feelings or situations.
That's 3D though.
That's very 3D, right? What they do see is, okay, great. Yeah. That's what you're going through. Now this is how you have to get out of it.
They see very black and white, okay, you will continue to go through that till you finally see this, or you finally change this, or you finally see this perspective, or you finally are able to bring this into your life. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful how, when you connect and you can provide that insight for that person or for yourself when you open your own records, it's it's like, wow, I'm using my ego's interfering, and it's not allowing me to see things clearly. And you may not be living or deciding things in the most aligned way for you. And you might be even not able to support the people around you. Like, who hasn't had a friend who's constantly in this victim role, or that person in your life, that mom or dad or family member, that all they do is like complain, or they're always living in that everything happens to me, right? Like, how do you deal with that? It's like not sending them more pity, not feeding into their victim role. Yeah. You don't feed into that victim role, right? You try to empower them. You try to allow them to see, like, of course, that's their free will to decide to ever see outside of that victim role. We can't force anything on anybody, but we're not going to feed into that. To support
also,
somebody.
The worst thing you can say to someone when they're complaining is "Stop complaining."
Yeah, yeah. But it's
like
you're
someone, you tell them to relax. Don't tell me to relax.
Yeah, you can't relax. You're not relaxing. You're seeing everything through the lens of a victim. So, what I see many times is like, you, by living your true, authentic path and not living in a victim role, will allow other people to live the same way. That's with anything.
What I learned to do when I went through that whole divorce scenario, the first thing I did, because I worked at a bookstore at the time, right? So the first thing I did was, when I realized I couldn't take it anymore, I went to the self-help section. And I was like, I need something new. Like, I need a new practice. I already had the Akashic Records. I had this stuff, but I needed something new. And I remember finding this one book that became my Bible. It was on the side of my nightstand, and it had all these exercises, and I kept doing them. And it's not that book was magical, and it's not that it was the end all. It was that parts of the exercises of what I was going through was, for example, wake up in the morning and be like, what am I grateful for? Find 5 things, right? And if you can't find 5, find 1, and tomorrow you'll find 2, and then, right? So I was really trying to do that. I was like, all right, well, I'm still carrying my baby. My baby's still alive, right? Okay. And we're both alive. Okay. That was right.
And healthy, right? Yeah.
I remember once I was so down because I remember going through it, and the pregnancy wasn't something I was happy about when I first found out, because now I'm carrying the baby with someone that doesn't want to be with me. I remember having to deal with emotions where I'm like, I don't even know if what am I doing with this baby? Like, I remember feeling awful about the whole thing. And I was like, I was trying to be careful of my thoughts because I was carrying the baby, and I knew that the whole thing where the baby gets your thoughts and your energy. I was like, oh my God, I can't deal with all this. And I remember one morning when I was in the worst broken part, and I had started with the book, the only thing that I could find that I was thankful for was, because to me, I looked bloated, I looked fat. I was overworked, I was depressed. I was like, I'm thankful for my hair. My hair looks, because I had pregnancy hair is always really nice. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm thankful for my hair. My hair's beautiful. And it's the only thing I could find, the first week where I started that practice. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'm going to try.
But that gets you more into that energy of gratitude, right? Because you start resonating with that, and then you start seeing more things and more things. I think gratitude is an interesting practice that I think a lot of us need to focus more on, and bring that more into our daily thing. Like, if that's what you're doing in the morning, amazing. You're already starting your day great. You're already starting it with, there's gratitude journals and 5-minute journals, and you can do it literally in 5 minutes, right? You can just sit for 5 minutes in the morning, sit up in your bed and be like, okay, let me connect with myself. What am I grateful for? And that just switches something. It changes your vibration and allows you to start bringing more of that into your life. I don't necessarily say it's going to manifest things, but I think it's going to help bringing more of that vibration, especially if you do that every day. Imagine that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I've restarted it with the heavy energy of October. I've restarted it.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that too. Maybe we could do a little challenge in November, especially end of the year, where we all can just
oh my God, yes.
Just all focus on gratitude. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All together. And then we can post it on social media.
Yeah. So yeah, I was doing it yesterday in my meditation. I ended up with the gratitude thing. I was like, oh, actually, I mean, the energy of October is not too great. I'm not feeling really excited about the winter coming. But it's like, okay, I have a roof. I have a roof to live under. I'm warm, right? Like, we have food on the table. We're in the house. We're all healthy.
Yeah.
The animals, everything. So I was like, okay, I actually have a lot to be thankful for right now.
Yeah, sometimes you can get caught up in those little things and let that take over, and then all of a sudden everything feels like drama or a tragedy, right? And we're like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden your whole mood changes. It's crazy.
What I wanted to say before I forget, because I keep forgetting it and then it comes back into my head. Even when we pray, be careful, because a lot of times, let's give a scenario of someone that is going through a really, really tough time, and they don't tend to pray a lot. Like, there's a person that they pray just when they feel like they need assistance. Pay attention to what you're asking and the way you're asking it when you go, because if you're that person that usually doesn't pray and then all of a sudden when something happens you pray, the high probability of the way you pray is probably the victim role.
Yeah.
Please, please, please help me with this. It's not a begging, but it's like a low vibrational, oh my God, I can't control this. Victim, right? I'm the victim of this scenario that's going on in my life, and please, please, please help me. Okay, catch yourself with that. Catch yourself with that. You have to go, okay, you can still pray, of course, but be like, I asked for assistance, and on this scenario, and like, just make sure the words you're using don't put you in the victim role, because you're telling the universe, by the way, I'm a victim, and don't really send me that solution that I'm asking for. Just continue to give me that lesson back, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. Yeah. You have to be very careful. It's all about intention, right? For intention,
these habits
everything.
We have. Yeah.
And especially, like, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, of like, you know, when we're driving and we're in autopilot, a lot of us are living that way, right? We're living in this autopilot energy where, wow, I don't even know how I got to work. Or, wow, I don't even know, like, when I was ordering coffee, I just so automatic, like, did I even get the right coffee? Did I put the sugar in it? You know what I mean? Yeah. So we have to be careful how, like, what autopilot program we have running, and trying to be more present, because that's what's going to allow us to not only, like, remember life and feel life more, but to feel more fulfilled in it, because it feels a little bit like, yeah, everything's moving so fast right now. I know I'm a little off topic right now, but it made me think about that.
No, I don't think it's off topic, because I think sometimes people get struggles and wake up calls because they're not being present. Sometimes,
yeah, because we're living in this, like, we're asleep. Yeah. And it's like life trying to wake us up, giving us more struggles.
That's not serving you. Like, why are you even here if you're going to be living in autopilot? Like,
yeah,
you might as well just go back home. I taught Aurora that when it's like, every time we see like a dead animal or something, I'll be like, honey, it went to the fifth dimension, it went home. Right? And so now every time she sees a dead animal, she goes, oh, Mama, it's okay, it went home.
Aurora.
Yeah, so she keeps saying, oh, it went home. Yeah, yes, honey, they went home.
That's good.
It's difficult. How do you explain to kids the first time you talk to them about death?
Little,
how do you explain
right?
death? Yeah.
But also we have a whole different view on that. Doesn't mean we're not going to suffer it. Doesn't mean
just
we're not going to.
Just the word death has like a negative.
It's such a low, very heavy, right?
I love what the Akashic records say. They say that you're not, in their perspective, you're never more dead than you are when you're incarnated. Because it's the most limiting experience your soul can have, being incarnated. So for them, when you leave an incarnation, it's liberation. For us, it's death.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I've seen that message come through too on my end.
That's another, you see, I was saying that, I wasn't thinking about it from what we were talking about, but now that I say that, that's another way we look at a victim. We put ourselves in a victim role. Or a loved one, passed away, and you'll say, oh, and you just, oh my God, I feel so bad for him, and he like passed away, and then, no man, he's liberated, or she's liberated. She's just having a better time than you are right now. Great.
Yeah, and I'm started with all the mediumship stuff now, and have connected with a few energies, right? And it's that way, I've connected with my friend that's passed, and she's fine. She's good. Like, she was suffering here, and it's our ego that attaches to that physical presence of that person, but knowing that, she had to go. It's hard. That's what I'm saying. We're not going to bypass all of this grief that we need to feel. That's part of our human experience. We have to feel all of that, but we can understand it from a different perspective when you're an Akashic Records reader, or when you're in more of the spiritual kind of living, and seeing life through those lens, like that lens of, it doesn't end here, right?
Yeah. It's just that for us, when the individual leaves, they can still spot us. They can still be present around us, and they can be attentive to what we're going through. They can still watch us in our good moments. The problem for us that are still in 3D is that for us, we lost them. We can't connect. We can't have those conversations. We can't sit down anymore to a nice meal, right? So you're mourning the 3D experience that you were able to have with that individual. Now you can't have in 3D. Now you have to have it in another dimensional place, which is not tangible while you're here. But I mean, my human brain can't get around it too much. But what you hear if you read those books about people that that NDEs, near-death experiences, when they talk about like leaving, they're like, you always imagine that when you leave the body, you left the tangible. But you hear quite a few people say, it all felt tangible. I felt like I was touching. To them, it was a world of, like, it had its own tangible components to it. So it's just that we can't experience the 3D tangibility with them anymore. But we'll be able to from other dimensions when our consciousness is no longer stuck in this place.
Of course.
So we're mourning that, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, it took a nice tangent there.
Yeah, I think it all went from one thing to the next, but also the main focus was just because we know a lot of you are going through a lot. Lucia is going through a lot. I'm going through a lot. And we know a lot of our Patreon community is too. And I'm sure a lot of you listeners too. So know that whatever it is you're going through, there's some kind of spiritual growth that you probably need to learn from. Either it's through the relationship, through the exact struggle that you're going through. Just know that moving out of that victim role and trying to just learn as much as you can about yourself and what's going on, and allowing those people that need to be mirrors, and give yourself permission to grow and trust whatever's happening, while putting up your boundaries, while respecting yourself, while standing up for yourself and whatever you believe in your values. But also allowing that expansion, that growth, that awareness to be a part of that path and that journey too. I think those are important. And we're going to just remind you guys that we have our Akashic Records, a level 2 course happening on Zoom. So it's a Zoom course on Saturday the 13th of November, Sunday the 14th of November, and then Sunday the 21st of November. It's a 3-day course. And we've channeled a super extensive manual, which basically, it's very extensive. It's really good. It's all around level 2, which is learning to read other people's Akashic records. So if you have been thinking about becoming a reader for others, if this is something you want to start working in, a lot of people might not think this could be a viable career path. It is. We love what we do. We don't look at it as work. It's our passion. It's our mission here. It could be what you're being called to. If it is, honor that, and try to follow that. If that's with us, great. If that's with somebody else, that's great too. But this course really is to help guide you in every aspect of becoming a reader for others. It's the spiritual part, it's the business part, and it's also the support that you need. So we'll give you support through Facebook, through email, and through a community. So it's really amazing. And it's a great opportunity also to meet other people that are on the same path as you. So if that is something that interests you, we'll put on the show notes a link to that information. Feel free to DM us with any questions or email us at soultribecademy@gmail.com. And we'll get back to you with some information, and any questions that you have, we'll be happy to answer them. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week with a new episode. And just a reminder also, our 2022 predictions are coming up really soon. We're going to be putting that forward in November. So make sure that you're I know, make sure
November.
Make sure you're subscribed on either iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, wherever platform that you guys use, so you don't miss that episode and that you get notified. And we will see you guys next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.